The iPhone 12 mini. Not many words to describe this, but I'll keep it simple. It's been for me a fantastic device. I've owned this phone now for the better part of 2 years. In fact, 2.5 years almost. About two and a half years now, almost. And for me, the experience has been absolutely stellar. Uh, I know, there are a lot of comments online about it having absolutely poor battery life and terrible heating issues, battery life, everything that I'll cover all of that. But let me first tell you that it's one of the best devices I've personally ever owned, and I've owned quite a few over the years. When this first came out, I believe it came out, this was in September of 2020. People had been asking Apple for a long time to create a mini yet pro version of the iPhone SE. This is basically, in the best sense, this is an iPhone SE Pro. If you take the iPhone SE as the base, and it's great in that sense. So if you look at it, it's what's there not to like? A nice, gorgeous 5.5 inch screen OLED. The weight of this is just 135 grams. That is it. Just 135 grams in total is the weight. It's very, very compact. I don't have very large hands, but it's absolutely a delight to hold in the hand. And in these 2 years, I've only grown to love it more, if I can say that. Now, I'll divide this into a few things. First, coming to the build, I mean, it's your standard aluminum frame from Apple and a glossy glass back. Now, I had originally purchased the Apple leather back cover. It was a product red version. It didn't last as long as I wanted to, and since the last 4 or 5 months, I've been using this naked. It's my primary device, but I've been using it naked, and that has its own charm, really. To use a device as compact as this, normally if you put any case on it, it's adding about 20-25 grams in bulk, and I was not up for that. I wanted to use it the way Apple designed it, and I've not been happier since. I don't intend putting any kind of case on this moving forward as well. So I'm very, very happy with how this device feels in the hand. I have no complaints there. In fact, I have all praises there. I believe the 13 mini, I mean, some of you who own it may be able to confirm, is probably a little thicker and a little, about maybe 8 or 9 grams heavier as well. So that's about the build quality is absolutely fantastic. No glitches on that. It's not bending. It's nothing. It's great. It's fantastic. Coming to the display, it's a 5.5 inch or 5.4 inch to be specific inch screen. And it's an OLED panel from Apple. So I'm glad from the 11 series on the 12 we made the move from LCD to OLED. It's a delight to watch content on this. The viewing angles are fantastic. It's a very good panel, and the only thing I'm really missing on this is in fact 120 hertz. If Apple ever, and I can put this on record, if Apple ever created a mini phone with a 120 hertz display, whatever the battery life may be, that's okay. I'm assuming with LTPO it should only be better, but if they ever did, I would be first in line to make a purchase. Really, 60 hertz is a real eyesore, not just because we're in 2023 or whatever, but just because the Android competition. I mean, whether you buy a device today for just $200, you're getting a 120 hertz screen, and it just makes everything so much more fluid. Now, my secondary device is a Galaxy S22, with which I'm filming this, by the way, and that has a 120 hertz native resolution. I have a Realme GT lying around that also has a 120 hertz refresh rate, and and I absolutely hate getting back to this, and I have to because it's my primary device, but I hate it because it's just everything. I mean, it's not choppy in reality, but it just feels choppy. When you're scrolling around, it just feels choppy. It's not slow. Let's not talk. It's never slow, but it's just choppy. When you're scrolling around, it just feels choppy. And once you go 120 hertz, it's very hard to go back. But I'm not going to give it, tell you that it's a compact device, and so you should ignore that. Don't ignore that. It's very annoying, and it's a negative. It's a big negative. But let's move on from there. Coming to the performance, it's powered by the A14 chip from Apple, which is, I believe, based on a 5 nanometer process. The performance has been top notch, really. I mean, I used a friend's iPhone 14 Plus recently. Barring the bigger size, I mean, I've not seen any major bump in performance, or rather, any noticeable bump in performance, anything between app opening times or anything that I would call that the 14 Plus is better at. But yeah, if you are seeing this video, you'd know. I mean, you can feel that little jitteriness when the app opens. That's not it being slow. That's just down to the refresh rate again. But performance has been great. Yes, it only comes with 4 gigs of RAM, but frankly, I've never noticed. I mean, I have a bunch of apps open in memory, which I obviously never close. And really, I mean, it's been fine. Even the 4 gig, with the 4 gig, in Android phones, what happens is when too much RAM gets consumed, the phone starts lagging in day-to-day operations. Obviously, it kills the apps, that's a given, but it just starts lagging in day-to-day operations. But that's not the case here. That's not the case with this guy. This guy will just go, I mean, it doesn't lag in operations, it just goes on. I'm assuming it just kills the apps that it doesn't need or it feels I won't open again. Now, coming to the all-important question of battery life, but before that, I'll address the camera because it's a very small part for me. The camera on this has been great. I've used it, in 2020, I used it to shoot a lot of videos that I was, filming for my channel. And the camera, in my mind, has been great. Pretty good, nice selfies, nice overall. Low light, I'm not much of a fan. I think Apple can do it much better, or maybe this is a little old, but overall, I'm not much of a photographer, and I think this does a pretty good job at photography. I mean, give this to me even 3 years later, and I'd probably tell you that it's a pretty good camera system. Same goes for video. Been very happy with the video performance. In fact, when I get any new iPhone or whatever, I still intend to keep this around for its to be used as a portable camcorder. I think it's great. It'll probably does, like, assuming what a GoPro would do, except it's not as durable, but from a fit in the hand perspective, it's great. Coming to the battery life, now I have very mixed feelings here. Now, on average, if I talk about the battery, on average, and mind you, now I'm down to 81% battery health. So there has obviously been some degradation. Now, to give you some reference, I last charged this to 79% at 2:35 p.m. in the afternoon. And since then, I've had about 4 hours of screen on time, and I still have about 20% battery life to pending. So typically on this device, right from day one to date, I get about 5 hours of screen on time. Now, I don't do heavy gaming at all, but and that should be clear from here. But I do arcade gaming like this Ludo King and 8-ball pool. I do arcade gaming, and I see YouTube, I see Instagram, etc., social media stuff, WhatsApp, Outlook for my work as well. But I don't do heavy gaming or any gaming other than what's arcade, because for that I just use a PlayStation. So for me, BGMI, Call of Duty, PUBG, I've not even downloaded them today. I think the maximum I've taken this till was once I bought GTA San Andreas and played that for a little while, but didn't enjoy it on the device or overall in the 60 hertz refresh rate. So as you can see, 4 hours, 10 minutes of screen on time, very little screen off time. I was using this constantly, pretty much. So, as you can see, overall, about 5 hours of screen on time is something you can expect even after hitting 80% battery health. Assume when it's 100%, you could probably get 6 hours out of it. That's my best case scenario. And in my mind, for a device that's so compact, so portable, I mean, it's such a beautiful device. I think 5 hours of screen on time is 4 hours down to 20 and 5 hours overall. I think that's fantastic. 5 hours of screen on time from this little guy with its 2227 mAh battery, which is, I'm assuming, what 80% has probably gone down to under 2000 mAh. I think it's great. I think that's some fantastic optimization from Apple. I'm a fan, really. With regards to the future of this device with me, I intend to keep it until it's supported. Physically possible. I may have to replace the battery at some point, willing to do that as well. But overall, I think it's a beautiful form factor, and for that, 5 hours of screen on time out of this little guy with the kind of stuff I have on here. I mean, I'm not syncing stuff, WhatsApp and all the time, but when I use it, it's there. And for me, I think that kind of battery life is superb. When I bought this, the 13 mini was just about 2-3 months away from launch, and I waited those 3 months, would I have bought the 13 mini over this? Absolutely. Should you buy the 13 mini today if you're in the market for a mini phone? Absolutely. If you have the 12 mini, should you upgrade to the 13 mini? I don't think so. I mean, maybe a couple of years down the line when the price of that also falls substantially. But if you currently have a 12 mini, you can claim. I don't know if that's much of a claim, but you can claim that this was the last, Apple design with vertical cameras, and you own the mini smartphone lineup out of that. So frankly, to me, if you have a 12 mini, I don't really see a sense of upgrading to the 13 mini just for the extra battery. I'd rather just replace the battery on this when it got to a point of troubling me. At this point, it's not. So I use it. It's my workday phone. I take it off the charge typically in the mornings. It's 100%. And by the time, and I start my day at about 9 a.m., I end my day by 7 p.m., I still have about 20-25% batteries to spare, and I come back and charge it again. So it's really not reached the point for me where it's been problematic. Let me put it like that. I've never had a day. Yes, sometimes when I've gone out after work, then it has got problematic for me. But I try and carry a cable in the car to charge it. But it has been problematic at times. If I've extended the workday longer than it normally should be, no fault of the phones really. So for me, the battery life is not a problem. What I'm not a fan of at all is the lightning port. I'm glad Apple is doing away with it. For a wired charge, it takes about 90 minutes. I use a Samsung wireless charger because of my secondary is a Samsung. I don't use MagSafe. My secondary device is a Samsung phone. So this is a Samsung wireless charger. I'm assuming this must be charging at 10 watts or maybe 7.5. But anyway, with this, it takes about 2 hours or 2 hours and 10 minutes to fully charge. And off the wire, it's about, like I said, about 90 minutes. Pretty long for a phone with such a paltry battery. I feel even the 14 Pro Max is what I've heard from people, takes about 90 minutes. So I don't know what Apple's doing there. But other than that, frankly, I mean, I'm very happy with this device. And if you have an iPhone 12 mini, let me know in the comments. And if you do, believe me, you should stick with it. This is a dying breed. I mean, nowadays, compact smartphones are considered like the S22 I'm shooting with. That's considered a compact smartphone, 6.1 inches. How is that compact? That's like, for me, that's a plus. I don't know how 6.1 inches is considered compact in today's day and age, but that's where we are. That's the times we're living in. So in my mind, this is a dying breed or a dead breed. A 5.4-inch display, compact, 135 grams of weight. It's beautiful. So if you have one, hold on to it as long as you can. That would be my advice. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one, and cheers.